Hey guys, this is Brian Doggett with Doggett's Engines. Title pretty much says it all. We're doing a shop tour today. You guys have been asking. Had a few people ask on YouTube. So yeah, I'll take you around the shop, let you see what I have. We got everything to do all the machine work from point A to point Z. A lot of people think you got to have all this high-end equipment to do quality machine work, and I'm gonna show you that you don't. Um, it's nice to have that, and I actually work full time at a race shop where I'm located, and I run all their CNC equipment. I mostly run. My everyday machine that I run is a Rottler F68A. It's a 4-axis machine, and then there's also a Rottler P69 cylinder head machine. It's a 5-axis, and then we also have another Rottler. It's a F. It's pretty much like the F68. It's got a cabinet on it, so we can run coolant and everything, and it's a 4-axis too. All great machines, very capable, very accurate. But you can still get the same accuracy and reliability out of these older machines if you know what you're doing and you have the proper fixturing. You can get fixtures through BHJ to index the block, do the lifter bores, index the lifter bores, cam tunnels. They offer all these things so that if you don't have a CNC, you can still be accurate at what you're doing and give out good results. So yeah, basically I go to work every day and run CNC equipment, work for a race shop, love it. Come back home, work in the evenings and on the weekends, and kind of help my customers out and build engines and just do what I love. So without further ado, we'll jump into the shop tour video, and if you guys like it, give me a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit, and give me some suggestions on some new videos, maybe something you guys like to see. So here we go. All right, so we kind of got like a little part shelf here going on. So you can see we got rings and valve springs up top, bearings in the middle, a few little gaskets on the side. Got some customer parts up there, kind of a little miscellaneous shit down at the bottom. Like I said, we got a new location that we're remodeling, so right now we're always kind of moving around up here, situating stuff. Kind of limited on space. We got a lot more room at the next location that we got. So right now this is the shop I'm working with. It's got a nice flow to it. You can still move around and get things done. Right now I got a customer's block in the Rottler hone here. He brought it in. He just wanted the deck checked out, make sure it's square, level, and he wanted it punched 30 over and honed. He wanted it basically ready to assemble when he got it. So we got it bored out yesterday and in the hone, and we got it roughed in, and I like to usually let it cool down a little bit. So we got done a little late last night, so we just went ahead and let it cool overnight. When you're honing with vitrified stones and honing oil rather than diamond stones and like a water-based coolant, the honing oil and the vitrified stones, they tend to put a little more heat in the cylinders, and with heat, obviously the dimensions are going to move around. So generally when you hone a block, you'll do a hole on the end, skip over and do like the hole on the other end, and keep going back and forth, and you switch to bank, trying to keep the heat dissipated, and keep your bores nice and round. The torque plates we use are right over here. Took them back off, and that's where they stay, right here. We'll clean them up after we get done with them before you put them away. That also simulates a stress on the deck of the block. It simulates the head being torqued on. And in a perfect world, you would there's people that torque bell housings on. There's people that torque water pumps. I mean, they go to the extreme. In a lot of cases, it's not necessary. But when you're looking for all-out performance, you try and get everything you can out of it. We torque plate every block that we do. We have measured them without the torque plate and then put the torque plate on it, and we've seen up to like 2,000 out around when the torque plate's on it. So it does create an out around bore when you go to use that. So you always want to use torque plates and the gasket that's going to be used on the block. So that's our hone there. It's a Rottler hone, very good hone. It's a power stroke. We got some tools here in the middle, rotary table. Got the BHJ fixture up there at the top right, and that's bolted to the back of the block, and we indicate off of that. So your block is actually indexed accordingly. It's actually a true 90-degree block, and the decks are parallel with the main or with the crank. So we got the capability of indexing, squaring up your block true. We got some bars down there at the bottom put in here to do one-lungers, to hone one cylinders. Up here in the cabinet, we got some mandrels for the rod hone. Like I said, we're always kind of moving around. At one time the rod hone was over here, so that's why this is up, and I just haven't moved it. The rod hone's actually on the other side of the shop now, but got all our mandrels up there. Do the small ends of the rods, hone bushings out. And then we got our big mandrels down here for the big ends. So there's those. We got the old vertical mill here, Excello vertical mill. It's gear head, and it's got digital readouts on it, and that allows us to basically say we wanted to O-ring this head. What I would do first is, with the digital readouts, it allows me to put a block in here and say I can indicate off of the dowel hole, right, and then zero out my digital readouts, and then go over to the first cylinder on the block and indicate that cylinder, and then record my X and Y. And after I do that, go over each bore spacing, granted that the head is in there level and straight, which after you surface it, you know it's truly true with the head, and the machine's been trammed in and everything, so everything's square. So when you go put a head in here, you can indicate off that dowel hole, zero out, move over the locations of that cylinder, and then just simply follow the bore spacing, and you can O-ring cylinder heads and be completely accurate. I've seen some videos online, some guys O-ringing heads. One guy, he started O-ringing, it started cutting out here about 2 to 3 thousandths, and then it started cutting over here. So your O-rings in there like this, and that's not good. Your protrusion is going to be higher on one side than the other. So there's lots of things. That's just one example of digital readouts can do. You can do bolt circles, lots of different stuff you can do with these. So it's a really good addition to the mill. So yeah, we got a fly cutter there to surface the heads. I made a bigger one right there out of from a 95 Camaro axle and a flywheel, and then just mounted a insert holder that I got off of Jameson Equipment to the bottom. So yeah, I love this machine. It does a lot of good for us in the shop. A lot of use out of it. You keep it well maintained, and they last, and they're extremely accurate. It just takes a little more time to true everything in, depending on what you're doing. I run CNC equipment every day. CNC is nice to have, but there's nothing wrong with this older equipment. It just takes a little more time to make sure everything is as accurate and squared up. Van Norman 944S Perfecto boring bar. That's a great little boring bar. The bore is very straight, very accurate. It bolts directly to the deck of the block. So after you deck the blocks, you can set it on there and square her up and have at her. It's been a great little boring bar. Nothing wrong with this. It's just as accurate as the CNC equipment. And you set your cutter to size, and it cuts to that size every time. So I'm very happy with that. Side here, this side's where I assemble most of my engines. I try and keep this side for assembly. That over there will be disassembly. I got my jet washer in the corner over there. My grinding and stuff's over there. If I do any grinding, I usually hang a curtain up to divide the center here, because I don't want any dust, any debris or anything getting over here. So we kind of try and keep the dirty shit on that side and clean over here. Like I said, my new location, it's going to be a lot more. There's going to be different spots, different places in the building to go to that's actually sealed off. The engine room in my new location is sealed, climate controlled, as is here. It's also climate controlled, but and we also have a dehumidifier to get all the moisture out of there, because that's nothing you want. You don't really want machine shit rusting, especially machines. So got all the different tools here to do engine assembly, all your clearance checks, everything you need to assemble an engine accurately. And here we got a customer worksheet that we fill out every time someone brings something in. This one here just shows that we're removing and replacing pistons, reconditioning the rods, degrees and inspect the block, rebore hone. So we just go through, and you get a copy, I get a copy, and for the records. Down here, got a vise for the mill, a little old school piston vise, some tuning equipment, got a air fuel ratio analyzer, compression tester, different tuning things in there. Set of double hump heads there, just been hanging on to. Big Joe lift, that's essential for every shop. Usually put the blocks up there and put cam bearings in, galley plugs, freeze plugs, prep the block up before I put it on my stand. Over here is a bench, kind of do a little bit of everything. We got the sun and rod heater here. See people on Facebook and or YouTube, I mean, they'll put their pistons, hang their pistons on their rods with a torch, and it's not really a good thing to do. You've got a lot of localized heat in one area, and you're kind of you don't really want to glow the small end cherry red, because you're changing the dimension of that small end, and you're supposed to have about a thou and a half interference fit for those pins to not walk out. So you want to get you a dedicated rod heater, so you're not jacking your rods up. And this is what we use to hang the pistons on the rods. A bunch of billet ring compressors there, piston rod vise, piston ring end gap ring filer, little odds and ends, drill press, bench grinder. This side here we got jet washer, Tempco jet washer. Just runs, we don't run any caustic chemicals, it's just a mild detergent. It works great on aluminum and cast iron. We wash blocks in here, cylinder heads. Got a parts basket up top for parts that need to go in there. We also made a tree for the cylinder heads to get bolted or chained up on, and so they're not flopping around in there. K-line liner kit here. We can put guide liners in cylinder heads. Got the tool to remove the screw-in, or not screw-in, the press-in studs, to put screw-in studs, rocker studs in. I think I got a video up on Dogs Engines, how we go about doing that. Got all the stuff to grind the seats, Magnaflux. Got a cap grinder here, Sonnen cap grinder. I believe it's a CR50. And got some Vortec heads sitting up here. We're going to be doing a few videos on here soon. I've kind of looked on YouTube to see if anybody else has done videos on them, and I have found videos on there, but I'm not going to call anybody out, but there's a lot of people on there that are really fucking these heads up as far as porting, and people say polish, but people in the know that you don't polish cylinder heads on the street. That's a big no-no. So we're going to do a little informational video on porting and polishing in general, and what you should polish and what you should not polish. So yeah, the Vortec heads are really good heads as long as you know what you're doing. These heads come really good right out of the box. There's not much you need to do to them. So the little bit that you need to do, more is not better as far as porting these heads. A lot of guys will go and waller the ports out and just flat ruin the air velocity. It's kind of like you stick the end on the vacuum sweeper and it picks up air velocity and it sucks your hand real close to the vacuum. You take that wedge off and it's just a big hole, and it's got suction, but it's not really, it's not really sucking that hard. So it's kind of the same principle. You go in here and you start wallering these out. It drops air velocity, and it's going to make your car a dog, really. Got the quick way speed hone, rod hone, and we use the hell out of it. We got the gauge up here, check size, Arnold gauge. It's a real nice setup. Got a good deal on it. That and the mandrels, got a killer deal on it actually. So we resize all of our connecting rods there. If we put bushings in, we'll bring them over here and size them up, check them. Here we got our pressure tester, and we pressure test cylinder heads. I pressure test all my blocks when I get all the freeze plugs in and make sure our freeze plugs aren't leaking. Nothing's worse when you get a engine done, you get it on the run stand that we got, and you see a freaking freeze plug leaking, and especially if it's one on the back, or it's just a pain in the ass. So we always pressure check our blocks when we get all the freeze plugs in, make sure nothing's leaking. And that's just helps us out and helps the customer out. If they don't have us break the engine in, they get it home, put it in their car, and they got a leak, they're going to be pretty upset. So I got a little Inco lathe here, 13x42 lathe. It's a little dirty right now, kind of got some shit scattered. Been using it here last few days. It's a killer lathe. Got a crankshaft polisher hanging on the wall there. Polish up the crankshafts. Got a 5.3 LS tore down right now. You probably seen it on Doggett's engines. Going through inspecting all it. I'm gonna figure out a build plan for it soon. Another little toolbox. Got a lot of my machinist tools in here, hanging out. Support your local engine builder. Electric over hydraulic cherry picker here. So just push a button, up, down, and I got this thing at an auction for like $100, and I use the shit out of this thing. Instead of putting a jib crane in here, I got a jib crane at my other location right now that's in place, and we're going to be putting a trolley system up. So for now, we just use this around the shop up here. It's small enough, get in and out of places. Go put the blocks in the hone and in the mill, so it's not a big deal. So yeah, that's pretty much the shop. If you guys want to see more videos of say operations on the mill, or the cylinder hone in action, or even the boring bar, I'm sure you guys have seen a couple videos on Facebook. If you want to see more videos, just comment, like, subscribe, help us grow. Follow us along on Facebook and see our progress. It's always fun to see a small guy start out and grow his business, and everybody be a part of that. We count on you guys. Without you, we wouldn't be here.